are going to be introducing you to one of our newest team members here on Blue Mondays, Vincent Trombatore. Vincent, welcome to the show.
Hi, nice to be with you.
And I'm glad that you're joining us here on our team here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so the viewers will know kind of what's important to you and why you're joining our team?
Well, I am a college student at UL, a major in biology. I'm a pharmacy technician at Walgreens, and I have a strong interest in politics and what's going on in our state, just everything that's going on right now. Currently, the situation doesn't look good for the whole United States as a whole, and I'm hoping that maybe I can make a difference.
Outstanding, outstanding. How do you think, I guess maybe how has the last year kind of shaped your focus? You know, we've gone through Katrina, then Rita. How has that kind of shaped your focus? Has that maybe just inspired you to get more involved, or?
Well, before Katrina and Rita happened, I really thought that our congressmen were out there trying to do what they're supposed to do, you know, with their constituents, helping them in their best interest. Well, it appears that they don't do that a whole lot. Bustani doesn't really get out there and hasn't done anything for the Cameron Parish or anybody else affected with Rita. And there's still infighting in New Orleans as well. So the situation in Congress and the rest of our political system allows for that infighting, and nothing really gets done like that.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, tell me a bit about your perspective on the local college scene. You've got a segment that you did a little bit earlier on with Brian Thomas. Brian was just got elected up in Opelousas as alderman. Why don't you tell me some of your perspective on the college scene? You know, what do you think right now is going on in the average college student mind? Do they put together that when they go in and have a more difficult time in the fall to get their financial aid, do they put that together with who's getting elected and going to Washington?
I think Brian was right on target with what he had to say. He actually made good points. The college students don't know who's taking their money from them or why they can't have more financial aid when they really need it, because they're working 40 hours a week and going to school, and they don't know why they can't have their full tuition paid with a student loan, or why the increases in the rates are.
Right.
So right now I don't think that there's much. They don't connect the two.
Right.
They may not. Maybe many college students probably don't even know that they're even connected.
Right.
With the local government or the state government having any kind of play with that.
Right.
I'm sure everybody loves their tops. Everybody loves tops. That is going away pretty soon. That's going to be taken away from many high school students that are going to be coming up maybe in the next couple of years. Now, that's a horrible thing. The TOPS program is excellent, and it gives everybody an opportunity to have a college education, and I believe that is absolutely important.
Yeah, it really is. What do you think is the overall, you know, when you're on campus, you know, a lot of times people will say, and I mean, I've lived all over the country. I used to live right off the campus of Yale, okay? Very liberal, very progressive environment. Do you find that that's here true on this campus?
Actually, I find Lafayette to be a very conservative campus. UL is my first university to attend, and I expected it to be very liberal. But it's actually very conservative, maybe because of the place and who the students are. Many students from Lafayette and from the surrounding area, and there's farms, and many farmers are, you know, Republican and conservative, and that may be part of the reason.
Right. Where they're coming from.
Where they're from. And
steady Fox News diet.
Fox News diet. And even just them parroting what their parents have to say.
Right.
So I think that has a big problem with the younger generation.
I've heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard that in Lafayette that analogy is definitely true, that it is definitely more conservative. But the interesting thing was that as the students progress and as they become upperclassmen and they start their junior year and senior year, that all of a sudden it seems like it takes them a little bit longer to start forming their own opinion, basically cutting those apron strings a little bit from being at home. And that then starts to change. But I haven't seen any large or even small political movement coming from the campus. The only time that we really saw that was around Save the Horse Farm.
Right, and really there's no connection. There's a very small college Democrat party at UL. There's a very small Republican college Republican party as well. But it's very small. The involvement in politics is minimum, at least. Why that is, I'm not quite sure. Really, a lot of people actually live at home.
Right.
A lot of the students live at home and may not have been able to form their own ideas that way.
Right.
From being able, living on campus or in an apartment or in a house somewhere around campus. What needs to be done, or what I think they just need to wake up and look at what's going on around them, and understand that it does affect them,
right,
and that they do have a voice, as a voter.
Right. And when they start seeing the campaigns, that it's actually, even when we start talking about local alderman races, I mean, Brian Thomas is a prime example of why they should be paying attention, because there is a lot of control that's placed in even local governments, and that they should want to try and have a voice. So, with you joining our team here, you're definitely going to be a huge and vital part of our team here, because we want to start looking at a more rounded Lafayette. What are some of the thoughts and ideas about what you want to do with the segments that you're going to be producing for us in the future?
Hopefully, I'm going to try to get more student involvement at UL.
Great.
And around our area that we'll be watching as well. Possibly have different types of organization shots and segments that may help people get involved and hopefully watch our show a little more.
Great.
And get involved with the political sphere.
Figure out how to get plugged in. Yeah, I think that too. A lot of times, you get so caught up in life, and you are so tied down in the day-to-day stuff, like you were saying, working a 40-hour-a-week job, plus going on and taking on 18 credit hours or what have you, and having to do all of that, and then you don't have any time to worry about, is minimum wage going to be increased, or are my Pell Grants going to be cut out so that I don't have them next year? You don't have any time to worry about any of that.
Right.
Right. All right. Well, you have a segment that you're going to be telling us about. We were kind of alluding to it earlier. We've got Brian Thomas, who you sat down with. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the clip?
Earlier this afternoon, I sat down with Brian Thomas, who is the youngest serving public official of Louisiana. He is a college student at UL. He's 20 years old, and he is also the regional director for the Southwest Louisiana College Democrats. And here's the clip. Well, welcome, Brian. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Congratulations on your victory.
Thanks.
What do you expect? What are your goals for your first term as alderman in Opelousas?
One of my first goals is to make sure that neighborhood security is heightened in my area. Right now, we have a crime rate that is increasing in our city, and I think it's important that we get more police officers patrolling the neighborhoods to make sure people are safe. And I think if we start focusing on more patrol rather than traffic control, which I know that is a situation that we have to focus on, but I think we have to put priorities in order. And if we start focusing on patrol, I think it'll make the neighborhood a lot safer, and it'll make people feel better at home. I think that's a very important issue. I've already met with the chief of police that's just been elected, and we're going to be having a few more meetings. I want to make sure that I have a great relationship with him and also the rest of the police department to make sure that we have some type of communication, and I'll know what the police department needs, and they'll be able to come to me openly, and I'll be able to share things with them. I also want to actually ride with the police officers, and I've already made accommodations for that, because I want to actually see what they do. I want to see their job. And if I get a more adequate understanding of how their job is, I'll be able to more effectively help with public policy.
Right. What's the average salary for a police officer in Opelousas?
Well, the average salary was about $7.82 an hour starting, but they just got a raise. Excellent. From the former council up to $12 an hour.
That's wonderful. Do you think that's going to bring any more police officers?
Definitely, because we're one of the highest in the area right now because of that raise. And we were having a problem because a lot of our police officers were leaving Opelousas because of the pay situation. But now, since our pay is up there, we can more effectively compete with the surrounding areas.
Excellent. What challenges do you expect being a first-time alderman in Opelousas?
The challenges I expect are the same challenges that will be incurred by every councilman. I don't really expect any other challenges besides me having to deal with my youth, but I think that's an asset for the city, and I keep telling people that that's the added advantage for the city, having more diversity on the council so we can more effectively lead the city, having a different perspective being represented on the council. I think that's very good, and somebody having energy, somebody that can run back and forth and not get tired very quickly. I think that's important. And I think that's going to be something that I'm going to address right at the beginning, because as they see that I start moving very fast, getting things done, they're going to be glad, and they're going to actually want more young people doing what I've done.
Do you think that's going to bring more young people into the political scene and into voting? Maybe?
Absolutely, because there were a lot of young people that got involved with my campaign. They were walking the streets with me, knocking on doors, riding in the parades. Just my election alone motivated people, which was one of the planks of my platform, to make sure that we reach out to these young people and get them involved, and that's exactly what happened. And I'm expecting more of it in the future.
You don't expect your age to have any effect on your effectiveness as alderman for the first time?
I don't think so, because it's never had an effect since I've been elected, even before, because I addressed the issue before people had a chance to negatively criticize me. Because people often are, sometimes people are very hesitant to change. That's a problem I think that we've been dealing with our older generation, and that's another issue. I want to bridge the older generation and a new generation, the younger generation. I want to be a gap filler, because right now I know what the older generation needs, and I definitely know what my generation needs because I'm a part of it. And I think as we have more gap fillers, we'll be able to have more dialogue happening, and we'll be able to actually lead the city, and with I think greater effectiveness, because we have these different perspectives. For instance, the older people have certain issues that are of a major concern to them, but if the young people are not represented on the council in any way, shape, or form, we'll never be able to know what they really need. And that's another reason why there's so many young people that aren't involved with the political process right now.
Even if they don't vote, though, how are they still going to be represented if you're on the board? Because
even if they don't vote, I am there, and I'm one of them. I know how they feel. I know what they're saying because they speak to me. And even if they wouldn't vote, they're still going to be represented, because I not only represent the young people, I represent everybody that's involved, that lives in my district, all my constituents, all 6,000 of them.
6,000. Do you think being a college student and having the time constraints that's going to put on you, do you think it's going to affect your effectiveness as an alderman?
I don't really think so, because it's never affected me yet. And one of the main things that I'm telling people right now is that if you can go through the campaign season, you can go through anything else. So, this past semester I had 18 hours, and I still ran my campaign pretty effectively. If I can do that, I can definitely do everything else. And I'm actually going to be decreasing my credit hours next semester, so I'll have more time to dedicate to the city, because, of course, I'm sure there'll be a much greater demand for my time.
Well, Brian, tell us a little bit more about your campaign platform.
Well, another issue on my platform was reinforcing fiscal accountability. I think the money situation for our city has been a very controversial one, and I think we need to have people in there that not only want to handle the money, but actually know how to handle the money. We've had, in the past, several different people being on payroll that many didn't know of. There were people that were being paid for jobs that the city really didn't need. All these miscellaneous expenses is really unnecessary, and I think if we get people in there that are really concerned about the financial stability of the city, I think we're going to really have fiscal accountability, which is something that has been absent for some time now.
Do you think, if you're the only person in the city council that really cares about the fat of the budget, do you think it's going to get fixed?
I think it will get fixed, because I won't be the only one that cares about it, especially when the public gets involved. It's one thing with politics for one person to try to do something, but in order for you to get a job done, it always takes more than just one person. And I realize there's some situations that that need more push behind it, that's when I'll bring it to the public. And once the public is on my side, and which they will be if I'm standing for the right thing, which I will always do, then they will go to their councilman, and the councilman will get in line with me, because if they go against what the people want, they know what consequences they'll have to face in the future.
Of course. Do you think that you're going to be able to get the younger voters to go out and vote for you or with you?
I really, really think so. I'm optimistic about it. I had some young people get involved in my campaign. Of course, I didn't have the amount of action that I wanted. Mm-hmm. And it's a hard call, because there's so many young people that just feel what they say doesn't matter. What they do won't change anything. Getting involved, they won't be taken seriously. Which is all. They're all issues that I faced in my campaign.
Do you think that's a cultural? You think it's cultural that we put that on ourselves?
I think it is cultural to a certain extent, because they're keeping all, honesty. This is the way I feel. The older generation, I love them to death, but many times they value or rate our maturity based on convenience. At certain times, oh, we're young, we're cute, but at other times, you're a man. And I think that should stop. Once you come to an age where you're mature and you're able to handle situations, be respected and be put in a place where you can
be responsible for it.
Right.
Do you think it's age discrimination part of the time?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any way to fix that congressionally, you think, with an amendment of any sort? Or?
Well, I don't think it's going to actually take congressional action to do it. I think it's going to just take people just standing up in local situations like what I did and breaking it down from the foundation. Getting involved, saying, okay, you don't believe I can do it? I know I can. I'm going to show you I can. And I think by more young people getting involved on these local levels, we're going to actually affect the rest of the climate in the nation. And one of the issues I was telling the older people, we have another situation that I was telling you about a little earlier behind closed doors, when we were talking about a lot of our young people leaving the city of Opelousas. As soon as they get an education, they're gone. Well, one of my concerns was keeping the young people in Opelousas. But in order for us to keep them, we have to give them a reason to stay. And if we don't want all the young people to leave, support them. Whenever a young person decides to stand up and do something positive in the community, get behind them, support them, show that you care, show that you want their presence, and then you'll get more of that presence.
Did you have any kind of naysayers whenever you came out to run for your campaign?
Definitely. There were some that didn't take me serious. There were some that actually told me I shouldn't run because it was an uphill battle.
When two uphill you won, didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you believe that, what actions do you think we should take to get more voters out besides showing that it can be done by the younger generation?
It's a hard call because it's so complex, because it's been attempted for so long. I think the best way to get more people involved is to not only run for offices, which everyone does, but I think to also let voters see issues that really pertain to them. Like, I think one way to actually reach young people is to actually show them not only your vote matters, but to show them issues that really concern them, that touches them personally. Like, for instance, Congress passed a few months ago this legislation that cut student loans by $12 billion, which is the largest cut that has been ever allowed to happen in our nation's history. At a time when college tuitions are steadily rising, the influx of new students is going down. Now we're going to cut student loans, which is making it harder for students to go to college. And I was reading somewhere with some statistics, I think around 2020 or 2025, they're estimating that we're going to have a shortage of about 12 million college-educated workers in this nation, which thus will make a greater gap of the ones who are rich, the ones who are poor. Because if there is a large enough gap of people who don't have a college education, think how much of a demand there will be for the ones that have it. Right. And if you're at that high of a demand, you're going to be able to really receive a lot of money. And that's going to put the lower people at a great disadvantage. And I think that's certain issues that need to be focused on by people that are in Congress right now. And I think if we do that, that's one way we'll be able to get more young people involved, by actually showing them that they are being hurt sometimes and that they can change these situations and benefit themselves and their children in the future.
Well, even with issues that are going on right now, say the Iraq, if you go on campus and you talk to people, everybody has an opinion, but nobody came out and voted this past election. Why do you think that is?
I think some people didn't come out and vote this election because some people are still distanced from everything. Because there are a lot of college students that really, even though we have all these things going on, they still are not aware. They're oblivious to what's happening in the world because they're so, I guess, encompassed by, education, going to class, that sometimes we forget that we are actually living history. We're so busy studying history, we forget that what's happening in Iraq now that's going to be in books, in history books.
We're going to be judged on the way we've handled it.
So, I think we have to, that goes back to showing young people that these issues concern them, that you have the possibility of changing these things. I think that's one way we'll get that change.
Do you think the population as a whole is educated on current issues that are going on every day with our political system?
I don't think so. I don't think so because most people are so busy. Most people have so many things to do. They're getting up early in the morning, they're going to work, and working for most people a very small amount of money. Then they're coming back home after they have gotten their children, cooking dinner, doing whatever they have to do. You're so engrossed by
everyday life,
demands, right? By everyday. I mean, you hardly have time to really keep up, and I think that's another situation that we're faced with right now.
Do you think raising the minimum wage will help that any? People wouldn't have to work as much. You have more time to keep up with news and other things like that.
I think so. I think not only will it give people more money to actually do what they need to do and also discretionary income, but I think it's going to make people feel better about working.
About what they're doing.
They feel at least they may not be getting paid all that they're worth, which most people feel they're not, but at least they'll be getting more of their worth. Right. And I think that's something that we as a nation really need to address.
And you support the minimum wage increase? Excellent. What's the salary average income for Opelousas?
$14,000.
How does that stand up with the rest of the state or with the rest of the country?
Well, we're behind. Actually, I would say we're not as bad as we could be, but we're definitely not as good as we could. I think right now the poverty, level, it's at 12,000. So at least we're 2,000 above that, but still that's horrible. And there's something else we have to think about. There's a few wealthy people in St. Landry Parish. And no matter how many low-income people that you have, if you have people with a huge, substantial amount of money, they're going to tip the scale. So we may, in all actuality, if you took away these rich people, our average may be even lower than that.
Right. Do you think you can help that anyway?
Definitely.
Creating jobs? Or?
Right. My position on the council puts me in a position to have more weight in what I say. When I go out and actually lobby for business, which is something I'm going to do aggressively, and I don't think it's been done enough or hardly done at all by by this previous administration. I think that's going to be something to increase our economic stability as a city and a parish. And I'm aware of our very great stakes that we the very great stakes that we have in our parish, because what we do in Opelousas really does affect the rest of the parish, because we are the hub of the parish. We're the main city center for commerce.
What businesses or what types of businesses do you expect to have in Opelousas once you try to start lobbying for those?
Well, I'm going after a few manufacturing companies possibly, and there's a few others that are in the process of being discussed right now with other leaders in the parish. I won't be doing this alone. I'll be doing it with other leaders, but we are expecting many great things in the coming years.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian, for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
I hope to have you back soon.
Okay.
And I'm Vincent Trombatore. We'll be right back.
When it rains, all my friends go away.
God doesn't like me anymore.
Santa won't know where to find me. You can drown in your bed if you fall asleep.
There's a lot of talk out on the street about his mother, your mother, their mother. But in the end, is anyone really even thinking about them?
Hi, I'm Amy Goodman, host of Democracy Now!, your daily grassroots, global, unembedded, independent, international news hour. Watch Democracy Now! Here on AOC Channel 19 in Lafayette, weekdays at 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Tune in.
Massive heat waves. Heat waves. Tick. Severe droughts. Tick, tick.
Tick, tick, tick.
Devastating hurricanes.
Tick, tick, tick,
Tick, tick, tick, tick.
Our future is up to you.
Tick.
Go to fightglobalwarming.com while there's still time.